All right, Nick, let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams team. A lot of free agents coming up, some crucial pieces, especially this offensive line. And once again, this Rams front office is making some really interesting and I think smart moves when it comes to this offensive line. Let's get into the article and then we can express that more on the other side. This, of course, is from over on X, and this is a tweet from Adam Grossbard. Says Rams GM Les Snead said team has had discussions with Kevin Dotson's camp in similar talks with Coleman Shelton, but said he expects both sides to likely hit the free market. Said he thinks that it could help the two sides find a contract number that makes sense. I think this is a really smart move by Rams GM Les Snead, Nick. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one, but Rams fans in the comment section below, let us know. Two crucial pieces to this offensive line. Let us know in the comments below if they were able to come out to a deal with one of these guys, who would be the one that you would want to be able to keep in the comment section below. But Nick, what are your thoughts on this bargaining tactic by Les Snead?
So I think what Snead has done with the Rams is really exceptional, and it's really just sound business sense. This is what Les Snead is doing here is using what's called price discovery. He's in the middle of a negotiation right now with both of these players, trying to figure out what they want to do. Do they want to lock up these guys long terms, or do they want them to potentially walk in free agency? And what Snead is doing is saying, listen, I think you're worth this in terms of contract. The players and their agents disagree in terms of what they're worth yearly, length of the extension, guaranteed money, all those factors. And Snead is like, listen, there's a chance I could be wrong. I think I'm right, but let's see what the market says. Because again, when these guys are free agents, assuming that's what happens, right? Which it looks like that's what it's going to, the Rams can always bid for these players, come March when the free agency period opens. It's not like the moment they cut and move off these guys and don't re-sign them, whatever they're going to do here. It's not like at that moment the Rams no longer have any chance to sign these guys again. They certainly will have the opportunity, along with the 31 other teams, to potentially bring them back to Los Angeles as well. But right here, Snead's just trying to figure out, what are these guys really worth? Let me see what the market is going to say. And I think that's a really smart move, because anytime you're in a negotiation or anytime you're trying to make a buying or selling decision, you don't want to ever just be one-on-one trying to figure out exactly what you want to do there. You want the market to provide a factor in. Anyone who's ever sold a house understands that completely. If you're trying to sell a house, if you're trying to decide, is now the time to sell, is now the time to maybe rent it out? I was in this situation not that long ago. One of the things you don't want to do is go to the first realtor you talk to. Hey, how much is this going to sell? And they'll give you a number and you'll be like, that's going to be fantastic. And then you list it and then no one's buying it at that number, right? The market is going to send you a message that that number isn't accurate. In those kind of circumstances, what do they say? Hey, talk to a bunch of different realtors, try and figure out, get a feel for the market. That's exactly what Les Snead is doing here. He has an idea of what he should sign these players to, but he doesn't want to potentially overpay. He doesn't want to just listen to one source, his own sources. He wants to see what the market is going to do target wise. And look, if someone wants to give Dotson a huge amount of money, so be it, right? The Rams are good at drafting. They'll find somebody else to replace him, even though he was a very good guard for Los Angeles this past season. But this is really good, solid gamesmanship from Les Snead, once again, using sound business principles to put his team in a strong chance to be successful.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a really good strategy. And like you said, with these two players in particular, I think it's the best strategy because these are both two guys who had absolute career years last year, anomalies as far as their PFF grades go. You look at Dotson, 66.2 in 2020, 64.5 in 2021, 65 2022, then comes out of the gate, second best rated guard in the league, 84.4 this season. Absolutely killed it. And then the same thing with Shelton as well. 48, didn't play in 2020, 59.5, 58, and then a 66.1 this season, his best season by far. I think these are two examples just showing you really don't want to judge them. I know the players want to get judged on their best year, but as the coach, as the GM, you don't want to judge the player solely on one season of being really, really good. I don't think that's great business. And then when a guy like Dotson, I think he's a heck of a player. And one thing I think Les Snead is thinking about is he is a very good player, but he's also a very, very good run blocker, a relatively good pass blocker. 66 grade on his pass block, 88 grade on his run block. And this is a team in the Rams that I think you have budding stars on the offense. Kyron Williams is really good, but do you want to invest in a guy that's a great run blocker and Dotson and make him the anchor of the team, especially at the guard position? Or do you want to invest in guys like Puka Nakua, Cooper Cup, where you feel like more long term longevity in the future of the team? I think this is smart business not to go off of these two really good years for these players and say, hey, we're going to throw you the house. You know, you had a great year, career year, one of the best players in the NFL at your position last year. Here's a boatload of money. And it's like you said, they're going to go out there and say, hey, let's see what the market says. Do other people think the way we think of? And this is kind of like what happened with Lamar Jackson and that whole thing. They said, all right, you're going to be a restricted free agent. You know, we're going to let you test the market. We're going to be able to match everything. It's a little bit different situation, but it went out. And in that case, it was similar, but also different because nobody wanted to touch that situation with 10-foot pole. Everyone's like, well, we'll let you negotiate on your own. But I like the idea of letting these guys negotiate contracts with other teams in free agency, see what they set their market at, and then the Rams coming back and say, hey, I think that's a good deal. Here's the money. And I think that's the best way for this situation to work out.
And again, I think the theme here is right. You never want to overpay, especially based on a small sample size of performance. And that's what market discovery, price discovery allows you to do. It allows you to see, hey, do other people, do the 31 other teams, do they view this guy this highly and don't view this past season as an anomaly? Do they really think that's what he's going to be long term? And that could be an indicator for the Rams that maybe giving him a lot of money, in Dotson's case specifically, is worth it. And that's what price discovery, letting these guys go to market, will give you. It'll give you more information, more data. That's exactly what smart GMs do. They just don't rely on themselves, right? Obviously, Snead and company, they've got a great staff there in the front office. McVay and his coaching staff's a great resource as well. But you never just want to rely on yourself. The market, especially in an environment like the NFL, that will give you the most information possible. And credit to Les Snead for wanting to take advantage of it for one of these, or for both of these key guys.